Okay. What do we got? On this vote, the yeas are 56, the nays are 44. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
And that's all it says, $1 billion to be spent, period. Now, I have been told that the Secretary of Energy and the Secretary of the Interior are going to decide in their unfettered discretion who's going to get this money in the private sector. And they are both two good men. I know that both of those secretaries, I voted for them. They are total ballers. I love them to death. But when I'm in Washington, I live by this adage: trust in God, but tie up your camel. Trust in God, but tie up your camel. This bill will say they can give these gifts and grants to whomever they want, but Congress has to approve them. Now, about, an hour ago, I got a call from one of my supporters, Mr. President. And you know what he said to me? He said, Kennedy, for your own good, you need to pull down this amendment. You have to pull down this amendment. Kennedy, for your own good, you have to pull down this amendment. And you know what I told him, Mr. President? I said, Scooter, there are only two things I have to do in this world. Be cool and die.
Mr. President, my motion is simple. It will prevent families with kids under 12 from losing food assistance under the bill. It's bad enough we're borrowing money, trillions of dollars from our kids and grandkids to pay for tax cuts for rich people, but it is worse still that we leave families hungry today. I reserve the balance of my time. Feeding hungry kids is not waste. And if we have to send this bill back to committee to fix it and bring it back so kids can get fed, we should do it. This bill is going to take lunches out of school cafeterias. It's going to mean hungry families. You can't pick a number like $200 billion out of thin air and say you can take that money for tax cuts and not leave a lot of American kids hungry. I urge an aye vote.
There are a lot of government programs that haven't been looked at in a long time. We all acknowledge that 75% now of federal spending is what we call mandatory spending, entitlement programs, things that Congress doesn't annually appropriate for. And it continues to grow at an uncontrollable rate. In fact, the growth in the rate of Medicaid spending in the last 5 years has been 50%. That's not sustainable. We know that's not sustainable. And in the time I've been here, we have never, ever done anything to reform and improve and strengthen these programs that are growing at an unsustainable rate that will wreck our economy and wreck our country if we don't start making some changes. And so, yes, there are some improvements and reforms to Medicaid to make it more efficient, to make sure that the people who are supposed to benefit from Medicaid do, and that it doesn't go to people who shouldn't benefit from Medicaid. Now, most of the increase in spending in Medicaid has been in what we call the expansion population. And that's the number of people out there for whom states get a 90% reimbursement from the federal government.
There's a small group on that side of the aisle, MAGA hard right-wingers, who are dictating what's happened, and all the rest of the senators on the Republican side who know it's wrong, go along. A small group. They don't represent more than 10% of the American people, but they're dictating what this body does. A, because of the rules we have, a simple majority. But B, because our colleagues on the Republican side lack the courage of their convictions to do the right thing for the American people. It's outrageous. Cutting people's health care, causing people to get sicker and to even die. Cutting people's health care so that it's certain almost that more people will die. Just to give tax breaks to billionaires. We heard what our colleague from North Carolina had to say about this bill. My guess is about half, maybe even more than half of the Republicans in the Senate totally agree with him. But he had the courage to speak the truth.
Mr. President, this bill is a farce. Imagine a bunch of guys sitting around a table and saying, I've got a great idea. Let's give $32,000 worth of a tax break to a millionaire, and we'll pay for it by taking health insurance away from lower income and middle income people. And to top it off, how about we cut food stamps, we cut SNAP. We cut food aid to people. It's a joke. I would say it was a joke, except it's not the least bit funny. I've been in this business of public policy now for 20 years, 8 years as governor, 12 years in the United States Senate. I have never seen a bill this bad. I have never seen a bill that is this irresponsible, regressive, and downright cruel.
The legislation we're debating today would modestly increase the size of the child tax credit while leaving out more than 17 million children from the full credit. America's poorest children, whose families are struggling to make ends meet, receive nothing from this bill. Everywhere I go in Colorado, I meet parents who are working hard, often 2 and 3 jobs, just to keep their families' heads above water. Like Americans all across this country, Mr. President, they are wrestling with the legacy of 50 years of trickle-down economics that have benefited the wealthiest Americans while leaving working and middle-class families behind, which this bill does again.
Subscribe to Oneindia and never miss an update. Download the Oneindia app now.